following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
So we had to go to Target last night after dinner. And I'm in the restroom, which is something I seldom do, and I hate using public restrooms because they're just vile.
Yeah.
And perfect reason to not, because I'm standing there at the urinal and like, floor is sticky. And I look down and I'm standing in a congealing puddle of urine.
Congealing.
Well, it's, you know, it's sticky. It's not wet anymore. You know, it's starting to dry, so it's tacky. So we left Target, went across the parking lot. I bought a new pair of shoes and threw the other ones out. So there's no fucking way those are coming in the house.
Ooh, yeah, that's not good.
No, it's horrible. I think it's you this time, isn't it?
It's me.
Okay.
Like I can follow that.
It's just an amusing anecdote.
Okay.
How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of
Ghost of Frankenstein.
My son, would you destroy that which I, your father, dedicated his life to creating? What if it had another brain?
Whose brain?
Your brain.
Bollock! What good is a brain without eyes to see?
I warned you that you might regret this action.
Well, we've warned you.
Yeah, I have no idea how to do this.
Yeah, well.
You've been warned. Welcome back to Frankenstein Minute, the podcast that dissects the Universal Frankenstein film series minute by minute. I'm Bill Evenson.
And I'm Tom Lang, and you join us for minute 21 of Universal's 1942 release, The Ghost of Frankenstein.
Damn right.
Yeah, that's right. Igor is exiting the Frankenstein estate, still leering at Elsa.
Yep.
So she's having her Me Too moment.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little creepy smile that he's got there.
Yeah, he's a
he
creep.
doesn't. I don't think it means anything sexual in this context. He's just a creepy fucking guy.
Yeah. Well, it's Bela Lugosi, so even when he's trying to be...
Well, yeah, I mean, look at, say, even in The Invisible Ray, where he's pretty much the good guy.
He's just a normal guy.
But he's still Bela Lugosi, so he's still a creep.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yep.
And I'm not saying that the man himself was a creep.
No, that's a good point. I don't think that either.
I just read that Gary Don Rhodes' No Traveler Returns,
Okay.
which talks about 1945 to 55, which are sort of the lost years. He barely made any movies at all, mostly toured in really shabby productions of Dracula or doing vaudeville acts, and, you know, this is pretty much the lowest rung of
Are there
showbiz
those TV
beyond.
appearances in there?
There's some TV
too?
appearances, yeah, it talks about that. But I did gain a new appreciation, not for the actor so much as for the person.
Okay.
Every account was, oh, he was funny, he was friendly, because all you read about in horror film books is, oh, he was standoffish, he kept to himself, he didn't joke around, and this was a nice, refreshing change to get another side of him.
Yep.
So I was glad I bought it and read it, because it was
That's cool. You know, we live in an opposite world from back then. Back then, the only outtake we have of him from Abbott and Costello is like 2 seconds, and you get, well, maybe it's 5 seconds, but you get about less than 1 second of his reaction, and then they turned off the camera. Whereas nowadays, it's just cameras. I assume I'm on camera right now.
Oh, of course you are. Yeah.
Detailed security system.
Yeah, Maggie isn't the only security system that we have. Yeah.
So I guess the only reason I'm saying is that little piece of video, that outtake,
that's all we have. It's
and it feeds into the theory that he had no sense of humor or didn't appreciate goofing around very much on set. Which,
I think
could be true
that's
too.
very true that he didn't on set.
Yeah.
Off stage, apparently, you know, he's a very funny man that you never get that sense.
I guess there's that one video where he's the lady gets scared of him and runs away. That one interview he does. I think he's in his own backyard and he's smoking a cigar. And it's a bit. He's playing along. He does a good job.
Clearly staged, but he's
in on it. Obviously, he's doing well.
There's an early clip from some short where it's the actress who originated the voice of Betty Boop, dressed as Betty Boop. They're purportedly wax museum figures, of course, and, you know, Dracula menaces Betty Boop, and like, you've booped your last boop.
Oh, that one, yeah.
You know, and you get a slight little sliver of,
you
know, he was enjoying himself.
Yeah, I think last season he was more or less right on the money. all the way through.
Right.
You know, if we've given the impression, and then this will come up again, that, or if I've given the impression that he doesn't even understand what he's saying, I stand by that only in those specific instances where I say it.
Yes.
I think generally, the Son of Frankenstein proves, at least by that point, he knew what was going on and cared what was going on.
Yeah. No, I think he always cared. I mean, even
I don't know. We got some stuff coming up.
Okay,
no,
but I was going to say, even those shitty Monogram and PRC.
Yeah, that's true. He's putting it all.
He's given 110% every single time, even if it's not warranted.
Yeah, that's
true.
And
I can't even say that about Karloff.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good in The Ape, but he clearly realizes he's better than this shit. Same with Black Friday. Here's a big instance of him not understanding, because he's an American gangster.
Yeah.
And they apparently didn't bother to rewrite the dialogue to take into account he's not an American by birth, and he doesn't understand a lot of this lexicon. So, you know, his performance suffers as a result.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But the whole movie is kind of unfortunate. So.
I think so. My Plex, when I sort my movies by critic rating or audience rating, Black Friday is like one of the greatest motion pictures ever made.
Oh, is that right?
There's some fault in some algorithm somewhere. And then there's a lap dissolve.
Well, first Elsa's kind of like, what the fuck was that? And
Yeah.
then she just descends the stairs. It's just kind of, it's Evelyn Anchors, I guess, is the proper, because
then we decided it was Anchors at some point.
Well, that's what I had been saying, but then you sent that clip of Ralph Bellamy interview.
Oh, that's where, okay.
And he says
definitely,
Anchors.
that's
He
right.
says
It's
Miss
definitely
Anchors.
Evelyn and Anchors.
Yeah.
Well,
So
whatever.
I've been
if he's
saying
right.
both names wrong for 58 years.
Who knows? Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But she's great. Just a little puzzled look.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, all right. And
Glad that's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she descends the stairs. There is a lap dissolve.
Is it? No, I just think it's like a hard cut, actually.
Hard cut, yeah.
Which is a little odd, to be honest, but who cares?
Well, it's not. It's just cutting it to Ludwig in his study.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a big leap in geography or time.
Okay, so that's why, because he is. We assume he is in the next room happening right now. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm learning about these things.
It's not an elliptical cut. It's just a cut.
I'm learning about from the Earl C. Kenton School of
film directing.
Film directing, yeah.
You know, say what you want. The man made Island of Lost Souls. Excuse me. So Ludwig unlocks a cabinet.
It's an armoire.
Okay.
No,
sure.
I don't know. I have no idea.
It looks like it's built into the wall.
Oh, okay.
And there's books behind it.
And above it, at the... Go ahead.
Well, that must be where he keeps his porn, because it's locked up.
There you go. That's the only reason I can think of the lock. Yep. Well, above it is is it a vase or is it an urn? And if it's an urn,
you have to determine what the difference is.
Well, if it's an urn, I like to think it's got Henry's ashes in there.
Yeah, but Henry's body is interred.
But yet we've seen Henry's tomb.
Yeah,
that's true. Can you cremate someone who's already been buried? And if not, what are we going to do? Because we're going to run out of space.
We're going to run out of room. Yeah, very quickly.
I think we should start this plan if it hasn't been implemented already.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And it's full of books.
Full of books. Like I said, his porn stash.
There you go.
Why else would you keep that locked up?
Exactly.
Then he slides open. Some of the books are false front, and he slides them open.
Yeah, it's a false front. It's fake books.
I kind of want one of those.
I know you do.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would put in there that's of any value.
I think it's cute, and it's a good trope for a movie of this type.
Oh, absolutely.
But it wouldn't work for me. It wouldn't I guess what I think about it is, when I look at that, I think if you are trying to hide it from kids or anybody, prying eyes, a bookshelf to me is something that makes me want to pull the books down and take a look at them.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe I'm the weirdo here.
No. My first thought when he takes out this box, this sort of rough...
Yeah, then he takes out a box.
This rough-looking box.
Yeah, it does look... is that the box?
Well, that was my question is that the box that contained the papers about the estate?
Or is it the smaller box that contains the key to open the larger box?
This box isn't locked, so maybe the smaller box with the key is also on a shelf.
It's weird that it's not locked.
Yeah.
But I guess not that weird.
It's locked behind a couple doors, but they don't look like they'd be that hard to pry open.
Well, he does use the key to move the fake books over. I noticed that. He's still got the key in his hand, and it is a different shot. It's more of a close-up, so he's using the key because he then sticks it in his pocket. Earl Kenton knows how important it is to us what's going on with Ludwig's pockets. He's got a big pocket fetish.
He's got his hands in there.
He's got his hands or his keys. He's got a lot going on in there. He's like Doctor Who. He's got a cricket ball and
the hardest
bag of
pockets,
right. They're bigger on the
It's
inside.
like Harpo's coat, you know.
There you go. It's like a Harpo's coat. He's got a big fucking horn in there.
Yeah, it's dusty. He blows some dust off of it.
Which, is it the script? Is that what's in there?
Is it? I don't know.
Because it would be covered with dust because nobody cares. I'm sorry. Terrible joke.
Let's
try that again.
Try over,
is it the script? Over. Never mind. Didn't work.
Okay. We'll start over.
Okay.
You've been warned.
No,
not that far back.
We're not going back at all.
Okay.
It all stays.
Well, my first thought was, how long has that box been in there to be that dusty? But then I dusted these shelves about a month ago, and you can see how dusty they are already.
I believe it. Absolutely. Totally. You would hope they wouldn't get so dusty if they're in an enclosed thing like that, but they still do.
They do.
Yeah. Especially if you're opening it all the time, which he probably is in there peeking around all the time. Who knows? I have no idea.
What else is back there? You know?
I guess blowing the dust off does indicate that it's been a while.
Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to be, So it's been there at least 3 years.
Right. Well, I don't know.
At the longest.
That's right. At the longest 3 years, because, we now have to talk about what's in the box. What's in the box?
Yep. Blows it off, stares at it for a beat or two, crosses to the desk, and opens the box. He retrieves 2 books: The Diary of Anne Frankenstein, Baron Heinrich Frankenstein.
Yep. It's diary. It just says diary. Then it says Baron Heinrich Frankenstein. The props person that was tasked with putting this together spent at least 10 minutes doing it. The kerning is more or less okay.
It's okay.
It's not very good. It looks like something you draw yourself on the day. There's no way this was done in advance by more than a few minutes.
There's the second one.
Well, fuck, these books don't fucking say anything on them. Get over here.
What the hell?
Actually, I guess that's second unit.
That is in the script.
That
what they say on there is in the script.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's all the more reason they should have been prepared and had them ready.
Well, okay, the second book that he pulls out is Notes and Memoranda by Dr. Wolf Frankenstein, No Von.
I didn't even think about that.
And it appears to have originally read Dr. W. Frankenstein and has been revised. Because if you look very closely...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If you look very closely, you can see where it's been changed.
Okay. And it's everything we're talking about is written freehand.
Yeah.
The words Baron Heinrich Frankenstein are in a style of font that you could maybe convince me they weren't freehand because they're a little more elaborate, but they're not great. So I kind of feel like those are freehand as well.
Yeah.
It looks sloppy, and I don't care. It doesn't matter all that much.
Henry did that himself.
Well, I suppose that's a good point.
It's not like they're gold leaf embossed. It's just written.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just written on the, I assume, leather cover.
All right. So this book is called Diary. Right?
Yeah.
So a diary, as I understand it, is where you write everything that happened, like say that day, or at least it's contemporary, right? So you wouldn't write it. You wouldn't sit down to write a diary and start writing about something that happened 10 years ago. You wouldn't call that a diary.
No, it would be your memoir.
It'd be a memoir. So this diary is by someone named Baron Heinrich Frankenstein. So either he wrote Heinrich Frankenstein and then later added Baron, or he's only talking about the things that happened after his father died.
Yeah, see, I think diary was a poor choice of words.
It's going to stick with the series. It's going to come back.
It comes back again and again. It should have been notes, or should have been...
Which it was last movie, right?
Yeah, it was.
They didn't use the word diary, I don't believe.
No, you don't see the cover of the book. You don't actually see the book itself even, I don't believe. But
I think you do at least... Well, you have to in that scene where he's drinking scotch with Benson. You might not even see it.
I don't really think it's... You don't see a close-up.
No, not a close-up.
He's not really handling it all that much, so it's not a major focus.
Right.
So who knows what it was titled. But I think it should have been, memoir or How I Did It, I think.
How I Did It
works
is a good
the best,
one. Yeah.
He sits down and casually pages through. Evidently, the screenwriter didn't know who was going to be playing Ludwig. The script says he is reading hurriedly and turning pages rapidly. And I don't think that Hardwick does anything hurriedly or rapidly in his entire life.
You don't hire him for that purpose.
Which is not a criticism of him. It's just an observation.
Yeah, it's just an observation.
he's supposed to be feverishly paging through this,
and
it is the very definition. I mean, that's how I look at a book. If I'm at a doctor's office or something that's just killing time, I just flip through the pages.
Well, that's really.
But
interesting.
I get the impression that he's looked at it before.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because it's odd for him to do this right now anyway, lest we forget, and it might be easiest for you and I to forget because we haven't talked about it for a while.
Over a month, yeah.
Is Eric just left 8 minutes ago, in screen time maybe 4 minutes ago.
And then Igor left.
And then Igor left 4 seconds ago because it's contemporary. Yeah. We didn't get a lap dissolve. So we assume, worst case, it's been even longer since Eric left. But all he said to Eric is, I get that this is an emergency and I'll be there.
I'll get there as soon as I can.
Yeah. So he's
I think
decided.
I think Igor's appearance changed that in his head.
Okay, I like that. That's more likely. That's what's happened. Is he's like, now?
Yeah, okay.
I got to think about this.
That fucking monster is here.
Yeah.
He's thinking about Igor shows up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that confirms it. And well, shit. Now what do we do? Because this guy's dangerous.
Let me quick glance over these notes, and these notes and memoranda by Wolf. My first thought was I was going to say, I don't remember what I wrote here, but I was going to say, can you imagine him making these notes? And then I realized, well, we actually see that happening in Sun, where there are actually scenes where Benson's writing them,
transcribing it for him.
Wolf wouldn't write on the cover by Benson, he wouldn't
as told
to Benson.
Thomas Benson, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a page about 2/3 of the way through that's just covered in blood. Benson killed.
He's still trying.
I guess
to finish.
He was strangled, though, right?
Yeah. That's the impression.
That's the impression we get. Okay.
All right.
Has Ludwig always secretly harbored a wish to follow in his father's footsteps? Or is it just spurred on by
the
Igor?
impression I get
because Igor is blackmailing it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally is. But the impression I get is no. I think it's the opposite. He doesn't want any of this to happen.
Yes.
Because he said, I got a good life here.
Right.
I don't want you fucking it up. And he was like,
it
would be a shame. This is a nice house. It'd be a shame if somebody
were to happen to it. Yeah, exactly. And we'll see a little bit more about this later. What leads up to Ludwig making, spoilers. The movie's called Ghost of Frankenstein, but we'll get there.
Wouldn't it be great if it was the Ghost of Frederick Kerr instead?
That would be fantastic. Yeah, if they actually could have gotten the.
Well, if they had AI back then, they could have.
AI. Oh no.
Could have put Frederick Kerr in.
Why would he do Frederick Kerr? That's not his father.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's
okay.
He's dead though, so it'd be a good ghost. Even better ghost.
There you go.
Than Hardwick pretending to be Colin Clive. I think somebody needs to figure out a way to put Clive in instead.
Yeah, because he seems like he'd be more convincing. But then again, he plays it. We haven't gotten to that part yet. But Clive's acting in. We're talking about him this whole time. What's his fucking name?
Colin Clive? What?
No, who is this guy? Who is in this minute?
Oh, Sir Cedric Hardwick.
Hardwick. Thank you. Pickwick's acting style and Clive's acting style are not similar.
No, they are completely different.
At least not with regards to a movie like this. Like, Pickwick does play it like the way Kenton likes to film it. So you can kind of see where maybe the Kenton looked at that script and said, you know what?
Yeah, that's a little
You
much.
don't have to go wild and act like a crazy person. You're going to be too big because I like to do everything as a very static close-up or medium close-up. And that looks good on television in 20 years. So don't do anything crazy.
Yeah.
And then and Pickwick and somebody else we'll talk about soon took that to mean, okay, play it way down.
Well, I think
I'm making all this up, of course, but it's
I think that Hardwick, if you look at his career,
he's not one of bombastic.
He's not very demonstrative.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
Yeah,
most of the time better than he is here. This is, I think, a little too subdued. I think we've talked about that.
Nobody seems thrilled to be in this movie.
Yeah, really.
Not even Bela, really.
Not really.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. Bela probably is thrilled to be in this movie, or at least happy to be in this movie. It was work
at a major studio, which he was not getting on a regular basis.
Yeah, and he's revisiting the character from 3 years previous, but he's not as good as he was. So even he's a little bit less.
I think Bela himself would have said that Igor was his best role.
Yeah.
I get that impression.
Yeah.
And there's a clip where he's being interviewed, I think, on a boat, on the deck of a boat. And the interviewer asks him about Dracula. And he's like, well, I don't know if Dracula is a blessing or a curse. And I think reading that book that I was referencing, the No Traveler Returns, I believe that was probably very true.
Yeah.
That I'm really sick of of this, but this is what I'm known for, so this is what I am.
But that's not what we see with Igor, probably.
No,
He's probably
so I think he was happy
it.
to have come back and revisited this character.
All right, we'll keep an eye on him, but at least at
and
this
maybe
time,
Janet
he seems...
Gallo was thrilled to be in this, probably.
Well, we'll see. We'll have more to say about. Well, actually, she enters now. I did want to say I do like that these notes are hidden away like that, because they do theoretically contain, not theoretically, in the movie, they contain the secrets of life and death.
They do.
So
plus they're also very incriminating.
Well, that's true too. That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what the statute of limitations for reanimating the dead is in this area, but
well, okay, but then Henry's dead, and Wolf is a well-known hero for admitting that he committed all those crimes.
Well, he was beloved for a few minutes, and then they curse his name again a couple years later.
I suppose that's true,
the beginning of this very film.
That's true. They've changed their mind.
The very name of Frankenstein is, which is something that Wolf complained about at the beginning of Son, too.
And it's something that is reasonable to assume is inevitable.
Sure.
Like,
you don't see a lot of Hitler.
America right now is populated by, well, the internet, let's say, is populated by crazy people. And if they got what they wanted, they'd be crazy about something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. Well, Elsa enters. And asks, who was that strange man in the lobby just now?
And the minute cuts off with Ludwig saying, oh, so I assume he's going to say, oh, you thought he was strange? How so?
What?
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
That's what we got.
All right. So if that's all we've got, I assume
that sound can only mean one thing.
Well, that's right. We're back to...
Any more questions, wise ass?
Oh, man. I'm so bad at this. Oh, we did it again. We let our Patreons make comments on the minutes. So now I'm going to go back. Oh, but how can I know which minutes? So there's a problem, which is I'm going to solve right now. Some of these apps make it so you have to explicitly log out before you log back in as someone else. I would appreciate it. I just want you to know this with all sincerity. I would appreciate it if you would kill me. I really would appreciate it. I now have a new version of the Patreon app that doesn't allow automatically, at least. Oh, for Christ's sake. I don't know if I'm going to survive this, Tom. It doesn't intrinsically automatically allow my password app to fill in my account.
You're not going to survive this because you just asked me to kill you. And
I don't know what you're waiting for. Okay, here we go. I've now opened the other app so I can paste in my email address so I can put it in so that it can now ask me for my password so I can go back to the other app to get my password so I can paste that into the app so I can...
A nice, deep cleansing breath. There you go.
And I mean, how do I even know where okay. Every app now wants to be as shitty as is possible.
Oh, absolutely.
They are so committed to it. Holy cow. Wow. I apologize. Here's the good news. This should only happen once today.
Okay.
Minute 21, right? Is that what we're doing?
That is.
All right. We did that sound of me trying to commit suicide can only mean one thing. It's time for Got Any More Questions, Wise Ass. Fucking, I loaded it and there's nothing. It's blank. Special Patreon edition. All right, so we did this again.
Brought to you by
patreon.com. Please go to patreon.com/Frankenstein Minute. Sign up and you'll get to do comments on our minutes. Boy, that's just awkward because I was hoping in a few weeks I'll be revealing a special thing. It's a few weeks.
Oh dear God.
All right, there are comments. Now there are comments.
No, but I won't let me already. See it's been a while since we've recorded, so
here's where we're at. Yeah. There's a button here now on the new app that says 6 comments. This is minute 21. 6 comments. You click it, and it says "Be the first to share your thoughts," because the internet is an abomination created by people who only wish to perpetrate evil upon us.
Yep.
So now I have to go back to here. Guess which one this is. Yada-teen, yada-da-do. I honestly think now... All right, there we go. Woo! Here we go. Sean says... Well, this is a riveting minute, isn't it? Ludwig going to the hidden compartment where the diaries are just gets me thinking about how different the sets will look when Talbot and Junior go looking for them in the next film. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So will this armoire, or whatever it is, this cabinet,
make a reappearance?
Make a reappearance. We'll have to look forward to that in, I'm going to guess, a year.
Yeah.
Probably about a year.
We're not quite halfway through this one.
That's true.
I give it...
Yeah, let's just... And I don't know how soon into the next one.
18 months.
Yeah, something like that. Also expecting one of the book covers to read How I Did It by Victor Frankenstein, a la Young Frankenstein. This is the good part about reading these after we say them, is that we can now at least...
We lay claim to the joke.
Lay claim to it.
Yeah.
Mike Herman replies, and in House of Frankenstein, too, when Ludwig's castle gets destroyed a second time. Oh, okay. Sean replies, the mapping of the house/castle is strange in this one. The lab and catacombs area seem like they would be in a basement, but then they are full of windows in some areas. So we haven't gotten really into the basement much, or at all yet.
Not at all. Yes,
we'll look forward to that.
The laboratory has the very scenic looking windows that it appears to have been like an arboretum or something at one point, the way the windows are.
Oh, we have been down there.
We've been in the lab. We haven't been downstairs.
Oh, that's not downstairs. Okay.
No, that's when... you pushed.
Yeah, we got a whole thing to go through. Okay. Mike Herman says that lechy smile Lugosi gives anchors is wonderful.
It is.
Yeah, and we touched on that. Yeah. So now here we are reading comments of things we already said. It's working great.
Okay. That's okay.
John Hazard says, I like how Wolf did a faux gothic font for his book cover, but clearly he's a doctor, not a graphic artist.
There you go. Yep.
And then, let's see if I can get this to work. Catherine Jensen says, somebody didn't clean the box before hiding it in the sealed cabinet.
There you go.
That kind of makes sense, actually, then. If it was already dusty when he got it.
Put it in,
I kind of like that, but who knows?
Well, they did. I am going to go on record or whatever to say that I believe it is the same box that was given to Wolf.
Yeah, let's go with that. It seems about the right size.
Right size.
He
lost the smaller box.
He lost the smaller box with the key in it, so he just busted it up, busted the lock open. All right, we have a comment on YouTube.
He jimmied it.
From our episode discussing John Bowles and the Army of Darkness with special guests Dino Stamatopoulos and Thom Bell. So this is episode...
Oh my God.
This is from our first season.
That's the last episode of the first season.
Yes, well, I had created just a clip of that, just that section, and I included the scenes from the movie and from Army of Darkness with Dino. So if you want to see the part with Dino in it,
5 seconds or 3 seconds of Dino.
He's in there. It's all in there. Okay, and Kristen Dewey responded, the reason Bowles was in Frankenstein, and I gotta say, I'm bringing this up kind of on purpose. I really miss the whole John Bowles thing. He was sort of the nemesis.
He was a great, he was a great.
And so it's nice to hear people talking about him. The reason Bowles was in Frankenstein was because he had an abscessed tooth from practicing singing for another movie he was supposed to be in for Universal. In order to fulfill his contract, he had to be put in Frankenstein, which he didn't want to do. I believe he was supposed to be in Daddy Longlegs, if memory serves me correctly. That's why John was out of his comfort zone. He was originally on Broadway and did musicals.
Yeah, no, I
love
100% agree with that.
Yeah,
I think that's brilliant.
Totally, yes. Which that doesn't mean we're not going to mock him for being in that movie, though. You know what I mean?
You know, and
maybe we're dicks, but it's a real thing. You know, it's funny.
We're not dicks because on the Bride of Frankenstein commentary, or Frankenstein, I forget which one it is, but they've done new commentaries for them. So it's not the ones from the early 90s that are very, very dry, all due respect to Rudy Belmer and is it Paul Jensen?
No, I can't remember
Scott
the
McQueen
name.
did the Bride one, and it's pretty good. But
I thought you meant the guy who did the Dracula one. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But they did a new commentary for when they put him on Blu-ray, and they talk about, somebody says, a really uninteresting part for a really uninteresting actor. So
there you go.
We're not the only ones. And I believe probably the first edition of Universal Horrors rips him pretty hard.
Yeah.
In his defense, he had no business being in a movie like that. It is not his genre. It's not his milieu at all.
Yeah.
And I always got the impression that Whale was just sort of stuck with him.
Yep.
You know, he cast all the other parts. Well, he was stuck with Van Sloan as well, but that worked out. I think he was fine with that.
Yep.
But, and I believe they cut the part down considerably from like Florey's script to the one that, you know, Balderston that they used as a shooting script. His part was diminished quite a bit.
I do want to kind of point out that nothing you've said contradicts anything she said.
No, not at all.
All of that can be true, and still, it's like saying, much like the criticisms you can make or things you can point out about something that you enjoy, like Mystery Science Theater, John Bowles is an enjoyable part of this film, or that film. Yeah.
For that
very reason.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry, John, but you're not adding much else. I can't think of much that he does in that film that's a boon.
No. And I think that goes to us, too, because we will criticize. And let's be honest, you know, we're living with these things in far more detail than the people that even made them are.
Yeah. And, well, maybe it bears repeating that we don't dislike Cedric Pickwick
either.
No, not at all. Even though I think he's not very good in this. He's still pretty good.
Yeah.
His not very good is still better than John Bowles.
Right.
There you go. We're going to finish on that note. I mean, I have more comments, but I don't know. I think we've gone far enough. Are we at an hour yet?
Newspaper, yes.
That's exactly right. It would be.